This is Sports Charlotte, the podcast about sports in Charlotte. My name is Herb White. I'm editor-in-chief of the Charlotte Post. This is Cameron Williams, staff reporter and guy who loves sports of all kinds.
Especially college football. And it is back.
Yes, starting Friday
in Charlotte. In Charlotte, yeah. I was about to say it started last week. There were a lot of good games, but now it is back in the QC.
Yep, and it's the Duke's Mayo Classic. See, thought I was going to trip up and say Duke's Mayo Bowl. Duke's Mayo Classic. The DMC.
I wonder if
for you rap fans.
I wonder if they're going to run.
Yeah, for you rap fans. And that is the Charlotte 49ers against the Appalachian State Mountaineers at Bank of America Stadium. Kickoff at 7 o'clock Friday, competing directly with high school football.
I know that, man. The 1 week out of the season I'm probably not going to be on a sideline somewhere is this week. But, no, as a matter of fact, there's another Friday game on Charlotte's schedule now that I think about it. But I digress. College football is the topic of the potty.
Mm-hmm.
After what seemed to be an eternity of uncertain questions around Charlotte's program, the main one being who the quarterback was going to be, he came out a little over a week ago that Connor Harrell was going to be a team captain. That was kind of the surefire signal because you don't really name a quarterback a starting captain unless he's playing. Very, very rare that people will name a quarterback a captain and he doesn't start. But anyway, it was officially announced by Pete Thamel of ESPN that he was the starter the day before the press conference, so Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And so that news came out. I was the first one to ask Coach Tim Albin about that on Tuesday. And he's like, look, they were looking for the guy, him and his offensive coordinator, Todd Fitch, that they could run the offense the way they saw it fit. It's not that Connor's necessarily the best passer of the group or the best runner of the group. He said that he felt all three, Harrell, Grayson Loftus, and Zach Wilkie could all do that.
Mm-hmm.
But he thinks some of the intangibles, the leadership qualities Harrell possesses, and just different things like that set him just a couple notches above the rest. And so that's why they're giving him a go. So, look, I'll pat myself on the back because I said it when he transferred that was going to be the starter. You were a little bit more of the Grayson Loftus.
Hey, what can I say? I was wrong. WRONG. Wrong.
Fair enough.
But I thought that, it was obviously a very tight competition and competency counts.
Yeah.
And from the sound of it, most competent man won.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a way to put that, but...
What? Most spectacular man won?
Don't do that. This man, always cracking jokes. At any rate, I think it's the right decision. It was probably the guy that I would have went with personally, but they've got a tall task ahead of them on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
App State in a very similar, boat, for lack of better terms, as far as just the roster turnover, having a new coach in Dowell Loggins. But Loggins' staff has a lot of NFL coaching experience.
Yeah.
And does that always translate to college coaching experience? No. But it's something nice to have on the resume that an NFL team would have enough, confidence in you to let them be a part of their staff. So, I mean, that's one thing Albin said. He's like, you don't have those kind of things on your resume without being a good coach. He thinks that Loggins assembled a really good staff. He's like, but ultimately, you can't worry about them. You got to worry about making sure you're checking all the right boxes, you're doing the right things, because if, at least in his experience at Ohio and, even as an assistant, if you're doing the right things as your team, generally it leads to more wins. So
it would stand to reason
that
Charlotte is going in the direction that it's going. However, if you talk about a team like App State, it's an in-state rivalry. They don't get to see each other every year. And there's small matter of bragging rights because, well, frankly, App State, before Charlotte even started the program, recruited heavily in this area. So there's a lot at stake in addition to playing at an NFL venue.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that there's way more at stake than just the win or the loss that's involved. There's also that thing of, well, you know what? If you're considering that school, we just beat them. So you might want to think about that really hard in terms of what that does for your recruiting and things like that. And as Albin is trying to establish a beachhead in Charlotte in terms of recruiting, App State has a pretty long and successful history of not only winning football, but recruiting for winning football right here in the 49ers backyard.
Yes, they do. And I mean, I think you're spot on. I mean, I think winning this game is huge for recruiting potential. I'm not just gonna say that just it's a shoe in that you're gonna win recruits, but the potential aspect of just knowing that this kid might have been at the game. He saw us win that game. I think that's huge. And overall, Alvin, the general feel of the press conference on Tuesday was that man, he couldn't keep a smile off his face. He's excited. I mean,
he was smiling
a little bit. I mean, he couldn't sit there and not feel like, I mean, this man's taking pride in this job, and it's something that I don't want to speak in absolutes when it comes to Poggi or Healy or even Coach Lambert, but it seems like Albin appreciates this job maybe more, just to represent the university. That's one thing he kept saying over and over. He's like, I just want to go out there and represent our university. He mentioned that the American Conference Commissioner is going to be there at the game. He wants to represent for the conference and just for the university. And he says, look, while football is what his players do, it's not who they are. And he's like, I'm trying to be the coach that's about who the player is. And I think from there, football is just a game. It's a great game. You want to go out there and win football games, but there is life after football. And even a lot of times you see NFL pros that don't fully grasp that concept, and they don't know what to do once they hang their cleats up. So he's excited. I know Niner Nation's getting excited. I'm excited. Maybe not to deal with that Charlotte area traffic on Friday evening at 6 o'clock when I get there, but
it wouldn't be Charlotte otherwise.
That's true. But that is very true.
In terms of the game itself, I'm not going to ask you to pick a favorite.
Oh, you can do that with this one.
No. What is going to be the thing that separates the winner from the loser?
I mean, it's so cliche, but I mean, week one games, a lot of times what separates winners from losers, unless you're just, Texas. I know Texas plays Ohio State this year to open, but if you're Texas playing Chattanooga, you can have a ton of mistakes and still win that football game. But when it comes to relatively level, I'd say under, 15-point spread type matchups, it's the team that makes the fewest mistakes. You can't have the unnecessary penalties. You can't have the turnovers. And, I mean, it sounds like a beaten up, broken record, but historically, if you look at games across the country at any level, usually teams with the fewest mistakes and penalties and turnovers and things like that win games.
And it's not just the mistakes. It's when you make them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If it kills a drive, negates a touchdown, extends a drive, those are the killers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is cliche, but generally metrics will back that up. So,
I mean, I'll even break this game down from a winner type thing. I think App State wins this game, and I don't want to get Charlotte fans on my neck.
Please don't.
Like you've already been on my neck.
Well, that's different.
But I think the spread's 7. Okay, the spread is 7, and I'm trying to see the current over-under as we speak, but 7 is a weird spread to bet on if you are in the betting community, because it can end in pushes a lot. Because, I mean, if you think 7 points, touchdown and an extra point. Can Charlotte cover and make it, a 3 or 4 point game, 24-20 type? Yes. Will they? I don't know. I want to get your take.
Because there's so much newness with all of this.
There is. But I want to get your take on this because a lot of times I'm the one that ends up doing most of the Charlotte talking. But, I mean, I want to hear what you have to say about this. Who do you think wins? How much? Do you think there's going to be a lot of points scored? Or do you think, because I know we talked before we started, I thought this game's probably going to be a little bit lower scoring. I would take the under. At least last I saw was 50.5. So I think I would take the under.
I would think that there's, obviously in this game, there's a lot of unknowns. And that is what would scare me about App State. Because the only known that I would come up with in terms of dealing with Charlotte would be the coach.
Yeah.
So I would look at what Alvin has done during his run at Ohio, and I would bet that he's going to try to duplicate that in Charlotte and maybe ramp it up a little bit because allegedly the American is a little bit tougher than the MAC. So understanding that, I would look at what his tendencies have been at Ohio, overlay that for a situation at Charlotte, understanding that he's got a bunch of new players, I've got a bunch of new players at App State, and go from there. I would think that Alvin is going to control the ball if he can on offense and keep it low scoring. So App State's going to have to come up with some big plays somewhere. Either big plays or exploit Charlotte's defense.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do that, I think App State would win. Maybe 21-17 if you're looking at counting numbers. And
so you got Charlotte covering the spread and the under.
Yeah.
Because the spread right now is at 6.5, but 24-21 is still covering that spread.
Yeah. So I would think that App State is going to come up with just enough in terms of figuring out tendencies and then trying to exploit what they can on offense. Now, if they both get together and it turns out to be 38-35, that's even better. I wouldn't mind being totally off base if it becomes an offensive slugfest because I love offensive football, but understanding the tendencies of coaches, you usually want to try to make sure that your defense gets off to a good start early in the season.
And yeah, that's kind of why that, at least my opinion, I would take the under because I think the defense is just going to be more sharp or a little bit sharper than the offenses in week one.
Mm-hmm.
No mathematical formula.
Just a feel.
Just a feel kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I ain't saying bet the house on it, but I'm saying bet what you'd feel comfortable on the under.
Yeah, don't bet what you can't afford to lose.
That's right.
That's real talk and good advice. There's also a second game involving a Charlotte football program. Johnson C. Smith is playing in Boston, or is that technically Cambridge, Massachusetts?
Cambridge.
Yeah. In the Essence HBCU Classic against Morehouse, the Maroon Tigers. And that game is Saturday, I believe kickoff is 3 o'clock.
3:30.
3:30, okay. First time that an HBCU game has been played in Massachusetts. Obviously, it's the first time Smith's been there, and Morehouse as well. The Golden Bulls are obviously very excited about the possibilities of the season. They're expected to, what is the word? Gollywop Morehouse.
Yeah, they are.
And I think Smith might be a little ticked that they're not included in the national top 25 in Division II, but they were picked second in the CIAA, which would, since the CIAA is like a super conference in terms of no divisions, So best two records get in. That is the goal this year, is to get to the postseason. They blew a chance at it last year. And I think with the team that they have coming back, because they do have a lot of experienced people coming back, they added some newcomers to flesh out some positions that they needed to have some improvements in. It's a one goal mission, postseason, or else.
Yeah. Well, that's not gonna be going down my on my soapbox about last season, but they should have been in the postseason last year. Stupid rules. I digress. Look, huge game to open the season. Whether you're expected to gollywop a team or not, or it's huge for HBCU football to be playing at that stadium. I think it's big time, and for John C. Smith to be one of the first as a part of it. I mean, it speaks to what Coach Flowers has done with this program over the last couple of years, getting them to that level of national recognition of, hey, let's bring them here. And so I think it's good for the university, good for the team, and I like the matchup just knowing who they've got on the horizon.
Valdosta State.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That should be a really good game. And I think that if you're talking about the Morehouse game, understanding that Smith really laid waste to the Tigers last year, then Morehouse's job is to, obviously everybody wants to go into the game thinking, well, we should win. But Smith is so loaded at so many different places. And in talking to Coach Maurice Flowers, the one thing that a lot of people talked about, Kelvin Durham, the transfer from Fort Valley State, joining Smith to play quarterback. And that's fine. And everybody talks about, well, this is going to be great. They added a couple of receivers from the transfer portal, including one who was a 1,000-yard receiver last year and made all SIAC. Everybody talks about offense and scoring points. Folks have a tendency to forget that defense was top 10 in the nation the last 2 years, and they've upgraded.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, where are they finding these bodies? So I think that is the part of Smith's roster construction that maybe is underrated a little bit. They lost 2 all-CIAA linebackers from last year. And what did they do? They went out and they are basically converting Quavaris Crouch back to linebacker, where he was second team all Big Ten at Michigan State. That's not bad. And then they added Vincent Hill, who was all SIAC at Tuskegee a couple of years ago, in the middle. Those are all conference type players in different conferences coming to Smith to boost up that defense.
Yeah.
And the secondary added an all SIAC cornerback from Miles. And then they added a defensive end who played at the University of Miami and Marshall. Yeah. Somebody who has Division I FBS experience. So that defense should be, if everybody's healthy, again, one of the best in the nation.
I mean, I agree. And look, I wasn't necessarily thrilled when I heard that Crouch was moving to linebacker more, I guess, on a full-time basis. That man can run through a brick wall. Anytime, look, and I'm not taking away anything from Kamara Edmonds. He really good running back. But when Crouch entered the game, things happened.
Well, people expected it to happen.
Yeah, but I don't know why. And I get Maurice is trying to think for his future, and apparently there are a few scouts saying that he might have a future at linebacker in the NFL. But, man, to win ball games, they win that Livingstone game, and you can't convince me otherwise. I ain't saying anything that I haven't told Coach Flowers, man-to-man to his face, but they win that game if they hand the ball off to Crouch 3 straight times, and they just.
I agree.
That man was just running over people.
Sometimes you outcoach yourself.
And he was trying to do things in the pass game. And look, I understand former quarterback. He likes to throw that ball. But sometimes run the dang ball, son. I mean, they would have won that game, and you will never convince me otherwise.
Well, and the thing is now, with Kelvin Durham behind center now, that offense now tilts even further towards the pass. And in our conversation last year, Coach Flowers said we're pretty much 55-45 pass to run. Now we're going to go maybe 60-40 because he has that much confidence in his new quarterback.
But look, Durham, I mean, he's 6'3", 211, and I haven't seen too much of highlights and stuff, but from what I understand about this kid, he can get out and run himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you start running a couple option looks, and, I mean, if he can keep it, or you can hand it to Edmonds or one of the transfers that you got, look, the run game, especially as you move later into October, early November, it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
And so I think, I mean, have your passing fun in September, but boy, have some run packages ready for late October when it gets nippy.
Yeah, well, if you want to control clock and control momentum, you run. And if you want to win titles, you run. And I don't think that's lost on Coach Flowers or any other coach who has those types of aspirations. But in order to win a title, you have to take that first step, and that is Saturday at Harvard. So, don't come back here with an accent and all this other stuff. But, you can go and have a good time, take care of your business, and get it ginned up for Valdosta State. Because it's going to be a good game.
Oh, man, Charlotte and UNC is at 7 o'clock. Wait.
And Smith and Valdosta is that earlier in that afternoon.
Look, I don't want to miss that Valdosta game if I don't have to. So give me one memento because, man, that's going to be a good game.
But while Cameron is checking the schedule, do us a favor. Go to our website, thecharlottepost.com. Become a donor, a subscriber to our digital publication, or good old-fashioned print. And you can also go out and help yourself to a subscription to our free sports newsletter. Comes out every Thursday. Cameron's writing is going to be there.
Always.
My writing is going to be there, and it's going to include college sports, high schools. It's also Carolina Panthers time. So, we're on top of all of it. So do yourself a favor. Go to our website, thecharlottepost.com. The journalism is free for you to access. It is not free to produce. We depend on you to keep us going. So do that, and we do appreciate you. And thank you. And just like we thank you for coming to this podcast, whether you're watching it on YouTube or checking it out on Queen City Podcast Network or Apple Podcasts. So for everybody at the office in beautiful Derrida, that's Cam. I'm Herb. Thanks for watching and listening.